Welcome back to Outdoor Canine. I'm Chad. Today we're looking at crates. We're looking at crate training and just crates in general. One of the things that's important about crates is making sure you have one that's appropriate to the size of your dog. If you have a large dog, you should probably have a large crate. If you have a small dog, you should have a crate that still fits it. If you have a puppy and you're crate training your puppy, you'll see that it's recommended that the crate be very small and not give them a tremendous amount of room beyond what's required to move around. If you put a very small puppy in a very large crate, it's going to still use the bathroom inside of that crate because there is such a difference between where it can lay and where it can use their bathroom. So if you put a small puppy into a very large crate, you run the risk of still having them use the bathroom inside of that crate. So if you buy crates, you'll see that some of them actually come with like a clip-in divider to make the inside smaller. That way you can get a crate that can actually grow with the dog itself. Some people refuse to crate their dogs. They see absolutely no reason to crate their dog. Their dog is left alone to free roam through the house and eat and drink or whatever during the day, and there is absolutely no destructive ability. There are those who have dogs who will always crate them because their dog is destructive. Now, some people say, well, that's because the dog is bored when it's outside the crate. It's lonely. If you give them a series of toys and like puzzle toys where you roll it around and a treat pops out or something, that should alleviate that. And then there are some dogs that if they're alone and they're out of that crate, you can give them anything and they're going after something. Uh, we've all seen the pictures online of couches that have exploded because dogs have been left alone outside of a crate. So one of the things I would really recommend, even if you don't plan on keeping your dog in crates when you're not home, is definitely at least learning how to crate train. It can be difficult and time consuming, and there's plenty of resources online on how to properly crate train, but you never know if there's going to be an instance when you need to actually crate your dog for either a short or an extended period of time. Maybe the dog is super excited, very large, is tend to knock people over, and you have a friend coming over with a toddler who is going to be cruising around the furniture and being a toddler, and you don't want your dog running around and potentially knocking the child over. That's one of those times that even if you're not a big fan of crates, it might be advantageous to you just for the safety of that small child. There are those who, the moment they leave the house, that dog is in a crate and is let out when they get home. If you have multiple dogs, some people do it with multiple dogs because if they are left alone themselves, they can get into fights. I have a family member who has two dogs that when they're home, those dogs are completely well behaved and don't do anything. If they would leave that house, and after about 20 minutes, those two dogs are going at each other. They have come home to blood everywhere because they have gotten in such a fight when they were gone that they ended up having to get stitches. So again, for safety, if it's all up to you and your family and the kind of dogs you have. There are plenty of families that have multiple dogs and they're left to free roam all day long and never have a problem. And there's families that have one dog and they're not home, the dog is going to destroy. So whether you should or shouldn't crate is really up to the individual. And there are those that say, I can't watch what my dog is doing. I can sterilize my house and clean my house so that they really can't get into anything. But then they get into something and it happens to be that pile of chocolate you had hidden somewhere, and now your dog has ingested great volumes of chocolate, and we all know that that's really a bad thing for dogs. So some people say, I'm going to crate not just for my safety of my house and destruction, but I don't want my dog to potentially getting into anything, especially a choking hazard, and perishing while I'm gone because I could have prevented it if they were in a crate and they got into something they shouldn't have. Ultimately, it is your decision if you leave the house what you do with your dogs. I have a dog that if it was a solo dog, I could leave them out all the time. But in the group, if multiple dogs are out, they can't be trusted like that. It's nothing wrong with saying, hey, my dog is fine, I'm letting him out. My dog's a terror, I'm keeping him in. But I would strongly recommend that with any dog that you do get, you at least crate train. That way, if something would come up and you absolutely have to crate your dog for either a short or an extended period of time, they understand what a crate is. You can give them all sorts of things in that crate, Kongs and peanut butter and all sorts of toys, water, food. You can really set that crate up for your dog to be semi-comfortable or comfortable for either a short or extended period of time. So ultimately the choice is yours. Please at least learn how to use the crate, have an appropriate size crate, how to use it, and make sure your dog is okay in it. And that's my take on crate training and crate usage. Thank you for stopping by, and as always, I'm Chad. Thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.